Welcome to episode 14 on clustering. Unlike previous algorithms that required a target variable or a right answer, clustering is about finding hidden structure in unlabeled data. It throws away the need for labels, focusing solely on discovering patterns within the data itself. This program is brought to you by the Series of Thoughts team and Technovative AI.
Supervised learning relies on a target variable and clear metrics. Clustering, however, is unsupervised. There are no labels, no correct output, and evaluation is fundamentally harder. The model must discover what to learn from the data alone. This shift in framing changes everything. Clustering is one of the most widely applied techniques in machine learning because unlabeled data is the norm. It provides a principled way to ask, what natural groupings exist in the data? Real-world use cases for clustering include customer segmentation, anomaly detection, document grouping, and image compression. These applications leverage clustering's ability to find natural groupings for targeted strategies, detection of outliers, organization, and efficiency. This video covers 3 distinct clustering approaches. K-means is centroid-based, fast and scalable, best for well-separated spherical clusters. Hierarchical clustering is dendrogram-based, ideal for small datasets, and when you don't know the number of clusters, K in advance. DBSCAN is density-based, handles arbitrary shapes, flags outliers, but struggles at high dimensions. K-means, our primary algorithm, is a centroid-based clustering method. It partitions data into K non-overlapping clusters by iteratively assigning each point to its nearest centroid. The process repeats until the centroids stabilize, a state called convergence. It's simple, fast, and scalable. The K-means algorithm starts by randomly placing K centroids. Points are then assigned to the nearest centroid. Centroids are recomputed as the mean of their assigned points. This assign-update process repeats until convergence. Convergence is guaranteed, but running multiple initializations and keeping the best result is standard practice to avoid a local minimum. The convergence animation shows how centroids move toward the true cluster centers across iterations. Initially, assignments are noisy. In early iterations, large movements occur as clusters take shape. Finally, centroids settle, boundaries stabilize, and the algorithm terminates when no point changes clusters. Choosing the right number of clusters, K, is crucial. The elbow method plots inertia, which is the total within cluster sum of squared distances, against K. The elbow point, where returns diminish, is your candidate K. However, if the elbow is gradual, the structure might be ambiguous. The silhouette score offers a more objective measure. It assesses how well each point fits its assigned cluster compared to neighboring clusters. A score of plus 1.0 is ideal assignment, 0.0 is ambiguous, and minus 1.0 means likely misassigned. The K that maximizes the mean silhouette score is typically the best choice. The best practice is to use both the elbow method and silhouette score together. If they agree on K, you have strong evidence. If they disagree, explore the candidates that score well on both and use domain judgment to break the tie. K-means makes strong geometric assumptions, measuring distance using Euclidean distance. This implicitly assumes spherical and equally sized clusters. When data violates these assumptions, K-means can produce incorrect and misleading partitions. It is important to be aware of when K-means fails. K-means fails with elongated or ring-shaped clusters, creating artificial boundaries or erroneously owning points. It also struggles with unequal cluster sizes. Furthermore, it's sensitive to initialization. Always use K-means ++ or run multiple restarts to ensure the best result. The main assumptions behind K-means are that clusters are spherical, similarly sized, and similarly dense. Also, the number of clusters, K, must be known in advance. When these assumptions are violated, the results of K-means clustering can be distorted or incorrect. Hierarchical clustering takes a different approach by building a complete tree of nested groupings called a dendrogram. Every possible merge or split is recorded. You can cut the tree at any level to reveal any number of clusters without rerunning the algorithm. This is powerful when you don't know K. Agglomerative clustering is the most common hierarchical approach. It's a bottom-up process starting with n clusters, one for each point. It greedily merges the closest pair at each step, forming a tree. The crucial choice here is the linkage criterion, which defines how distance is measured between 2 clusters. There are 4 main linkage criteria. Single linkage finds the closest pair, which can lead to chaining. Complete linkage finds the farthest pair, resulting in compact but outlier-sensitive clusters. Average linkage is a middle ground. Ward's method, minimizing within cluster variance, is the most commonly used in practice, producing compact, similarly sized clusters. The dendrogram is the key output of hierarchical clustering. Leaves are individual data points, and branch height is the distance at which clusters merged. A horizontal cut determines the number of clusters. Look for a large vertical gap, representing a natural cluster boundary, to guide your choice of K. Comparing hierarchical clustering to K-means reveals key trade-offs. Hierarchical clustering is deterministic, handles flexible cluster shapes, and doesn't require knowing K. However, it is slow for large datasets. K-means is fast and scalable, but requires a predefined K and assumes spherical clusters. Density-based spatial clustering of applications with noise, or DBSCAN, takes a fundamentally different approach. Instead of using distance or centroids, it defines clusters as dense regions separated by sparse regions. Crucially, it explicitly labels sparse outlier points as noise. DBSCAN classifies points into 3 types. Core points have enough neighbors within radius epsilon to form the dense interior of a cluster. Border points are near a core point but lack enough neighbors to be core themselves. Noise points are neither core nor reachable from a core point. They are the outliers. DBSCAN relies on 2 parameters: epsilon, the neighborhood radius, and min-PTs, the minimum neighbors required for a core point. Parameter tuning is critical. Use a k-distance plot to find a good elbow point for epsilon, and set min-PTs higher than the dimensionality for reliable results. Be aware that DBSCAN struggles with the curse of dimensionality. DBSCAN's strengths include finding arbitrarily shaped clusters and being robust to outliers. Its weakness is high-dimensional data, where density becomes difficult to define, making parameter selection challenging. It is also not ideal for clusters of highly varying densities. Choosing the right algorithm is essential. K-means works best for spherical, equal-sized clusters. Hierarchical clustering is good when exploring different numbers of clusters. DBSCAN shines when clusters are arbitrary shapes or when identifying outliers is important. Clustering is vital for customer segmentation. Imagine separating thousands of retail customers using features like frequency and order value. Unsupervised K-means can reveal distinct, unlabeled segments, such as loyal high-value customers versus lapsed low-value buyers, enabling targeted marketing campaigns. Before clustering, you have a flat, undifferentiated list, leading to generic high-cost campaigns. After clustering, you gain clear, actionable segments. This shift allows for personalized outreach, early churn detection, and a measurable increase in conversion rates, all powered by discovered data structure. The hardest question in clustering is evaluation, because there is no ground truth. The goal is not correctness, but finding meaningful structure. This requires a different set of metrics than supervised learning, shifting focus to whether the partition reflects inherent patterns in the data. Evaluation uses internal and external metrics. Internal metrics, like the silhouette score, measure cohesion and separation using only the data. External metrics, such as the adjusted RAND index, compare clusters to existing labels, which is typically for benchmarking purposes only. Internal metrics only tell you if clusters are geometrically well separated, not if they are meaningful for the business. The best approach is to triangulate, measure internal metrics, inspect the clusters with domain experts, and test if the clusters provide utility to a downstream task. The silhouette score ranges from -1 to 1, measuring cohesion versus separation, with +1 being best. The Davies-Bouldin index ranges from 0 upwards, with 0 being best. The Kolinsky-Haribaj score should be maximized. Inertia, or WCSS, should be minimized for a fixed number of clusters. Clustering is a powerful tool, but it is not a universally correct one. Before applying it, you must ask critical questions about your data, your goals, and available alternatives. Clustering will always produce a partition, but that partition may not be meaningful. Clustering is the right approach when you have no labels and need to discover structure for exploratory data analysis, to segment for strategy, or for anomaly detection without labeled anomalies, such as finding noise points with DBSCAN. Clustering is not the right approach if you already have labels. Supervised learning is better. It's also unsuitable if you require precise, auditable prediction. Avoid it if the data is fundamentally continuous, or if you have high dimensionality without prior preprocessing, which degrades distance metrics. Pre-processing is critical for clustering. Scaling is essential to prevent large-scale features from dominating distance metrics. Always use standard scalar or min-max scalar. For high-dimensional data, apply dimensionality reduction, like PCA or UMAP, to compress noise and ensure meaningful distances. You should now be able to explain the unsupervised shift, walk through the k-means algorithm, choose k using the elbow and silhouette methods, and describe when to use hierarchical and DBSCAN clustering. Finally, you can articulate the challenges in evaluating clustering results. This video covered 3 core algorithms: k-means, hierarchical, and DBSCAN. We discussed 2 ways to choose k: the elbow method and the silhouette score. We also reviewed 4 key internal metrics and noted that clustering is fully unsupervised, requiring 0 labels. Avoid common pitfalls like skipping feature scaling, which ruins distance metrics. Do not trust just one k-selection method. Remember that cluster labels are hypotheses, not ground truth, and visualize your data before applying k-means to avoid misclustering non-spherical data. Clustering helps surface patterns you suspected but couldn't prove. The best applications come from deep domain knowledge. Think about the hidden groups you suspect exist in your data that nobody has labeled yet. In summary, unsupervised does not mean easy. It is harder to build and evaluate. Match the algorithm to the data's geometry. Always use triangulation for evaluation, and never forget to pre-process by scaling and reducing dimensionality. Next, in episode 15, we pivot to neural networks, building machines that learn from examples at scale. We will cover the artificial neuron forward propagation and the learning engine of backpropagation that drives modern deep learning.